You know, sometimes in life we all make mistakes and we travel down roads and paths that maybe we didn't intend to take. But there's a very familiar story in the Bible called the prodigal son. It's found in Luke chapter 15. And it talks about a boy that had a lot of trouble with his father. And he decided that he wanted to leave his father, and he asked his father for basically his inheritance. And so he went out and he squandered all of his wealth, and he made all of his mistakes, and he found himself in the middle of a hog pen. And one day while he was eating some hog food, he decided, you know what? It's time for me to go home. My father's servants eat better than I do, and they live better than I do. And it's time for me to go home. But I know the young man was probably very worried about what he was going to say to his father. And how was his father going to react when he came home? And I think sometimes in our life we think the same thing. If we've moved away from God and we've got away from God, and you know, at one time we were burning hot for Christ, and then things kind of chilled and we went off in some areas that maybe we know we shouldn't have went, but we did it anyway. And we think that we can't turn back now because everything that I've done and everything that I've been through, I can't come back to God because God's not going to have me. But Jesus goes on in this parable to say when the young man came to his senses, he decided to go back to his father. And I love Luke chapter 15 verse 20 when it says, when the young man was far off, his father saw him and he came running to him. And the reason why I like that is the fact that, you know, in our minds we think that maybe God would be sitting on the front porch or sitting on his throne, and as we entered the throne room and we came to him, he'd be looking down at us with a stern face and a gruff voice, and he would say, now that you've come back, what do you have to say for yourself? And we would feel all the shame and the guilt and the condemnation and everything that comes along with that. But I think Jesus was trying to say in this parable that when the father saw his son coming home, he ran to him. He ran to him. He didn't wait to see what the young man had to say. He didn't wait to see if the young man was sorry for what he did or anything like that. He ran to him, and he met him there on the road. And he put a ring on his hand and a robe on his back. And those two things symbolized in the Bible that God restored the man, or the Father restored the young man to be a rightful heir to the throne. And I think that's so important, because when we just make that little turn back to God and just make the turn, not knowing what we're going to say and how God's going to respond, that God is right there to meet us, ready to restore us to where we were before as a member of God's family. Don't you think sometimes that no matter what we've done and no matter where we are, that God is ready. He is ready and waiting for us to come home.